Behind the towering gates of Buckingham Palace, where footsteps echo through marble corridors and crystal chandeliers cast prismatic light across ancient tapestries, lies the true seat of royal power, the kitchen. Here, copper pans gleam like medals of honor, and every dish carries the weight of centuries-old protocol. The air thrums with whispered instructions and the careful choreography of chefs who understand that feeding royalty is never simply about sustenance, it is about preserving an empire through every carefully measured spoonful. For Prince Harry, these gilded kitchens represent a world governed by invisible boundaries. These are not tales of personal preference, but of institutional decree, where even the most basic human pleasure of choosing one's meal was subject to the ancient machinery of monarchy. Tonight, we venture into the forbidden flavors and culinary casualties of a life lived entirely within the suffocating embrace of royal protocol. Number 10. Foie gras. In the hushed elegance of a private dining room, where Persian rugs muffle footsteps and oil paintings observe from gilded frames, a perfect rectangle of foie gras terrine glistens under soft candlelight. Its surface is smooth as silk, accompanied by toasted brioche points and jewel-bright fig compote. The aroma is intoxicating rich, buttery, with undertones of cognac that speak of unimaginable luxury. For Prince Harry, this delicacy represents a culinary line drawn by his father, King Charles III. In 2008, Charles officially banned foie gras from all royal residences, citing animal welfare concerns. Former royal chef Darren Grady confirmed this ethical stance became absolute law, meaning Harry spent his adult years in palaces where this ultimate symbol of aristocratic excess was entirely forbidden. Palace chefs, once masters of French techniques, were forced to redirect their expertise toward alternative luxury appetizers. They created wild mushroom terrines scented with cognac or organic chicken liver parfaits that provided similar richness without ethical compromise. The plating remained elegant, only the ingredient changed. This absence speaks to modern monarchy's evolution, where ancient privileges must bow to contemporary conscience. For Harry, the missing foie gras represents his father's rare willingness to prioritize values over tradition, a dish that disappeared not through personal distaste, but through institutional transformation. Number 9. Raw shellfish. Picture a glittering reception where crushed ice catches light like scattered diamonds. Upon this frozen landscape rest dozens of freshly shucked oysters, their shells gaping to reveal grey pearl flesh within. Pink prawns curl like commas, while crab claws crack invitingly. The scent of the sea fills the air, briny, fresh, alive with oceanic possibility. Throughout his official duties, Harry was consistently steered away from raw shellfish, following long-standing royal protocol designed to prevent foodborne illness during public engagements. Royal protection officers maintained strict guidelines about shellfish consumption, particularly during overseas tours where illness could derail diplomatic missions. Former royal chefs confirmed oysters were avoided when royals were on duty. Palace kitchens developed elaborate workarounds. Instead of raw oysters, chefs prepared Rockefeller-style baked versions, or sophisticated shellfish bisques, where seafood was thoroughly cooked. Separate preparation areas ensured any shellfish served to the royal family underwent rigorous cooking processes, while guests enjoyed raw preparations. The emotional weight extends beyond culinary disappointment. For a prince representing Britain's coastal communities, the inability to freely partake in the nation's maritime bounty created a subtle barrier. Every untouched oyster reminded him that even in celebration, his body was considered national infrastructure too important to risk. Number 8. Garlic dishes. In sun-drenched Mediterranean kitchens, garlic reigns supreme. Imagine prawns sizzling in terracotta dishes, their shells turning pink as they bathe in oil fragrant with sliced garlic and red pepper flakes. The aroma rises in intoxicating clouds, speaking of coastal tavernas and uninhibited appetite. For Harry, such dishes remained largely theoretical during royal duty. The household maintained a well-documented aversion to garlic, stemming from Queen Elizabeth II's preference to avoid strong flavors that might linger during close diplomatic conversations. Macready confirmed garlic was essentially banned from royal menus, particularly for state occasions where the Queen engaged intimately with world leaders. Palace kitchens developed sophisticated techniques for creating depth without garlic's distinctive bite. Shallots, leeks, and carefully balanced herb combinations replaced garlic's foundational role. When preparing traditionally garlic-heavy dishes like aioli or pesto, chefs created alternatives using roasted onions and complex stocks that provided richness without compromising royal diplomacy. This culinary editing represented profound sacrifice of flavor for duty's sake. For Harry, the absence of garlic symbolizes how personal pleasure was consistently subordinated to institutional needs. Even something as fundamental as breath was subject to royal protocol, where enjoying properly garlicky meals became another freedom deferred. Number 7. Street food and market cuisine. The chaos of bustling markets creates symphonies of sizzling oils and aromatic smoke rising from countless small stalls. Steam billows from bamboo baskets filled with dumplings, while meat skewers char over open flames, their surfaces glistening with spicy marinades. The air itself seems edible, thick with chili, cumin, and the irresistible pull of food cooked fast. During official tours, Harry often walked through such scenes, smiling and engaging with vendors while carefully avoiding spontaneous tastings. Royal security protocols strictly limited street food consumption, viewing uncontrolled preparation environments as unacceptable risks. Even when local hosts offered traditional dishes as hospitality gestures, royal staff graciously accepted while ensuring they never reached Harry's mouth. Behind scenes, royal advance teams worked with embassies to create controlled versions of regional specialties. If Harry visited famous food markets, palace chefs prepared sanitized versions in embassy kitchens using vetted ingredients. The authentic experience of choosing from multiple vendors and eating with hands remained forever out of reach. Street food represents cuisine's democratic spirit, food crossing class boundaries, bringing people together. For Harry, the inability to participate freely reinforced his separation from communities he represented, turning every market visit into performance rather than genuine cultural exchange. Number 6. Sandwiches. An afternoon tea tray arrives bearing delicate porcelain cups and precise rows of finger sandwiches. The bread yields to fillings of cucumber, smoked salmon, and egg mayonnaise. Yet looking closely, one notices a peculiar geometric anomaly. Not a single sandwich features sharp, 90-degree corners. Harry grew up eating sandwiches with rounded or octagonal edges, never square. Former royal chef Graham Newbold revealed this stems from centuries-old superstition held by the monarchy. Tradition dictates that presenting pointed food to the sovereign symbolically wishes them harm or attempts to overthrow the throne. Kitchen staff execute this requirement with absolute precision. Chefs meticulously slice away crusts, rounding every corner before portioning sandwiches into perfect, harmless shapes. This labor-intensive process transforms simple lunchtime staples into masterclasses of knife skills and rigid adherence to historical superstition. This geometric rule highlights archaic paranoia embedded in royal life. For Harry, eating normal, square-cut sandwiches was impossible within palace walls. It serves as a reminder that even innocent midday snacks carry heavy, inescapable weight of royal history and lingering ghosts of past treasons. Number 5. Rare red meat. In finest steakhouses, perfectly aged ribeye hits blistering grills, then rests under silver cloches. When carved, the center reveals warm ruby, juices running into pools beside crisp roast potatoes. For many, that sight represents the height of carnivorous pleasure-eprimal, deeply satisfying culinary experience. Throughout royal dining, Harry was consistently served meat cooked well done, following Queen Elizabeth II's firm preference. McGrady spoke of her absolute aversion to visible blood in meat. That household rule inevitably shaped what appeared before Harry during official meals, where roasts were cooked through, browned to centers. To keep such meat palatable, chefs relied on slow roasting, basting, and rich gravies. Venison from Balmoral and beef from Sandringham were high-quality animals, handled in ways prioritizing safety and the monarch's taste over fashionable rare cuts. Pink lamb or blood-rare steak remained exceptional rather than routine. This mirrors broader hierarchy themes. The Queen's palate set household tone, others adapted. Harry's later embrace of relaxed, modern eating suggests a man stepping from under very specific culinary shadows, discovering textures and flavors his childhood table seldom allowed. Number 4. Banana. The humble banana rests in silver fruit bowls, its yellow skin promising sweet, potassium-rich nourishment. For most people, eating this fruit requires no ceremony. Snap the stem, peel back skin, take a bite. It represents the ultimate casual snack, requiring no equipment, no plate, absolutely no formality. Yet for Harry, eating bananas in the Queen's presence required bizarre, highly formalized ritual. Royal etiquette dictates that royals don't eat food directly with hands like commoners. Former chefs revealed the royal family consumes bananas using knife and fork, transforming casual snacks into rigid, utensil-bound surgical procedures. The consumption follows strict choreography. Royal diners must slice off both banana ends, slit the skin down the middle to unroll it, then slice fruit into small medallions eaten elegantly with forks, ensuring hands never touch fruit itself. This extraordinary custom perfectly encapsulates royal life's isolating strangeness. For Harry, even universally simple fruit eating was complicated by archaic class distinctions, transforming natural human behavior into rigid performance, constantly reminding him of his inherent difference from the public he served. Number 3. Buffet-style dining. The democratic joy of buffets lies in their promise of choice and abundance. Steam tables laden with diverse offerings, freedom to survey options before committing, pleasure of loading plates according to appetite and preference. Picture lavish hotel breakfast buffets, where guests move freely between stations, sampling and customizing meals. Throughout official royal life, Harry was consistently isolated from buffet-style dining, even at events specifically designed around this format. Royal protocol demanded his food be pre-plated and served by staff, eliminating contamination risks and undignified spectacle of princes queuing with common diners. This separation required elaborate coordination. At large receptions, royal staff created parallel service system zone for guests, another for the royal party. Kitchen staff prepared identical dishes, but Harry's portions were individually plated and served at table, rather than allowing communal selection participation. Buffet dining represents remaining democratic food experiences where social hierarchies temporarily dissolve. For Harry, consistent denial of this simple pleasure reinforced his separation from normal human experiences, turning casual dining into formal, managed affairs emphasizing difference rather than common humanity. Number 2. Tap water. In sweltering diplomatic receptions, nothing seems more appealing than tall glasses of ice water, condensation beading on sides, promising immediate relief from oppressive humidity. The simple pleasure of filling glasses from taps and drinking deeply represents one of modern life's most basic freedoms. For Harry during overseas tours, this humble act was consistently forbidden by royal protection protocols. Foreign Office guidelines meant all water consumption was carefully controlled, with bottled water discreetly substituted even when local supplies met international safety standards. Ice was particularly problematic, potentially made from unvetted local sources. Logistics required extraordinary planning. Royal advance teams coordinated with hosts to ensure appropriate beverages without drawing attention to restrictions. When photographs showed Harry accepting drinks from officials, liquids typically came from sealed bottles prepared in secure locations. Even ice cubes were specially prepared using filtered water. This illuminates profound isolation in royal travel. For Harry, the inability to share something as fundamental as water, with hosts represented invisible barriers separating him from genuine cultural exchange, turning every interaction into carefully managed performance rather than authentic human connection. Number 1. Fish and chips. On windswept British seaside promenades, where seagulls wheel overhead and salt air mingles with frying oil aromas, humble fish and chips shops represent British cuisine's democratic heart. Picture perfect servings, thick cod fillets in golden battered armor, chips cut thick and fried twice, wrapped in paper growing translucent with absorbed oil, accompanied by mushy peas and generous malt vinegar shakes. Despite fish and chips being Britain's most iconic dish, Harry was denied authentic experiences of eating them as intended. Wrapped in paper, eaten with wooden forks, purchased from proper chippies where oil has been seasoned by thousands of previous servings. When Harry encountered fish and chips during engagements, they were sanitized, served on proper plates with metal cutlery, prepared in controlled environments rather than traditional shops. Palace preparation required complete reimagining. Chefs sourced finest fish and hand-cut chips, but cooking occurred in pristine kitchens using fresh oil and controlled temperatures. Results, while technically superior, lacked essential character from oil seasoned by countless previous fryings and communal atmosphere of eating standing outside proper chippies. This culinary gap represents perhaps the most poignant symbol of Harry's separation from ordinary British life. Fish and chips transcend class boundaries, equally beloved by construction workers and aristocrats. For a prince representing British people, inability to share their most fundamental culinary experience created barriers both practical and symbolic. The missing fish supper, eaten properly from paper with fingers, represents connection to democratic British culture that his royal status consistently held just out of reach. The story of what Prince Harry never ate reveals profound truths about institutional power's nature. These forbidden flavors trace invisible boundaries separating princes from full human experience spectrums. Each missing meal represents small sacrifices made serving ancient institutions demanding complete conformity, even in matters as personal as appetite. Food represents memory, identity, and community connection. For Harry, stepping away from royal life meant reclaiming not just freedom to speak independently, but fundamental rights to choose what crosses his lips. The dishes he was never allowed to eat tell stories of constraint lived entirely within others' carefully constructed boundaries, where even basic eating pleasures were subject to protocols written by long-dead people. As you consider your own relationship with food and choice, ask yourself, which simple culinary freedom would you miss most if you had to surrender meal control for palace life?